Now, joining us on the telephone from a group of Atlantic voyagers, the likes of Led Zeppelin, to another Atlantic voyager, Jenny Headen is on the line. Welcome to the show, Jenny.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm really good. And yourself?
I'm great, thank you. I'm not too bad at all.
You made it back to us in one piece anyway, thankfully.
Yes, very well. Yes, in one piece. It was an amazing adventure, all right.
Well, I guess we'll get straight into it. You recently basically travelled all the way across the Atlantic in a very small boat. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct. Well, basically what happened, Simon, was that around Christmas time this year, I was finishing up at the place I was working in, and I got offered an opportunity by a friend of mine who happened to have a boat. Now, usually when I say boat, people think, oh, a massive cruise boat. This was nothing of the sort now. It was pretty rustic. But he wanted to sail it back from the Bahamas, where it was, to sail it back to Ireland. And I thought, all right, that sounds like it's something I might like to do.
Wow.
So, no experience. I think I bought Sailing for Dummies just shortly before we took off. I had a little look at it, swatted up, and then we flew to America around January time, hitched a lift on another boat to the Bahamas, and then we stayed on the boat, fixed it up. Like I said, it's pretty old, rustic-y boat. And I kind of learned a lot. I was thrown in the deep end, if you like, and I had to learn how to fix things, and mostly the main thing I had to learn was how to sail.
I was going to say, undertaking such a journey, I would have assumed that you were a hardened sailor brought up on a diet of rum and rat's urine soaked ship's biscuits.
It definitely brought up on the former, but certainly not the latter. Experience wasn't my forte. No, I mean I'd been on boats before, but nothing out of the ordinary, kind of just getting a go on somebody else that might have one. But
right.
no mad experience. That was the whole, I suppose that was kind of part of the adventure as well. And possibly, I guess I've met tons of people who do have loads of experience, and I think the more experience you have, the more you realise what could go wrong. So I was probably better off not knowing tons of stuff and just taking off.
And just to clarify as well, this is it's a sailing boat. There's no engine inside.
It's a small boat. That's correct. Yeah, it's a small boat. It's 32 foot. And it was made in the 1960s, and it was made for sailing, not really for comfort. So there's two kind of little bunks inside, and quite a small cockpit. It's about 9 foot across and 32 long. There is no functioning engine on board, no. So we sailed the full, it's just short of 4,000 miles.
4,000 miles?
Right, going at about 6 miles an hour. so you're not sleeping. Well, I was going to say we could do the maths. I did. It took us the full 54 days.
54 days. So 6 miles an hour is kind of like that's the boat's kind of top speed, is it?
That was the top speed, exactly. So I suppose when you're doing a journey like that, you need to make sure that you're not heading into hurricane season. So you'll be going a lot faster than 6 miles an hour. So you time it right, and generally when you're crossing west to east, you want to go in kind of around the June time, no later than that.
Okay.
So we were kind of lucky in that regard. So we left the Bahamas in May, and we arrived in Bermuda. That was our only stop. So we stopped in Bermuda, fueled up on more food, and then we took off from there. And that was the longest, from Bermuda to Dublin. Well, Bermuda to Cork, I beg your pardon. That took us 40 days.
40 days?
Yes. So 1 month, 10 days of travelling around. In that period of time, we saw one other sailboat, who was actually, incidentally, a guy from Donegal, which was quite funny.
Wow.
But you're really, you're hopping up and down on the deck of your boat, and you're radioing him, going, hello, another human, what's going on? Because that's the only way you're going to know what's going on in the world.
And did you have any sort of, you said you had a radio there, obviously, did you have anything else, any other way of communicating with the rest of us? Had you a phone, or?
We did, yeah. We had a VHF radio, which kind of works in, that's kind of like one of those handheld breaker trucker jobbies
Right.
that you can kind of radio nearby boats.
That's a
if there are any.
negatory, good buddy. One of those guys.
Exactly. Yeah. I wasn't allowed to say that. I think it's against marine regulations. But but we had a satellite phone then as well that we could use at certain points throughout the day if the satellite was overhead.
Okay.
Now, we only used it strictly for emergencies, and we could also use that satellite phone as a modem to hook into our computer, so we could download weather files and see kind of really up to the minute what the weather was like, so we could avoid anything too horrendous.
Wow.
That was the only method of contact, and you know, since the internet's been invented, that's the longest I've been away from, you know, looking at the internet or Googling things and seeing, you know, so it was quite refreshing for my brain.
How was that? Was it? Did you say it was refreshing? Was it nice to have that level of break, that level of remoteness from? I guess, you know, we all have busy jobs and all the rest. So is it nice to be disconnected like that?
Yeah, it really, really is, and you don't have to. I mean, there's nothing kind of to. You're looking around at the sea and you're seeing all these mad creatures, and you know, you're not thinking about I don't know, Coronation Street or whatever, you know, or whatever kind of things that are a bit tedious for you. And that's what I really enjoyed about it. But it is a total disconnect. And you know, lots of people say, oh, it's cheaper to go sailing than it is to go and see a psychiatrist. And I definitely think that could be the case. You know, you have so much time to ponder on things. And
wow.
You know, yeah. So from that perspective, it was a really, really incredible experience too.
But to coin the old phrase, Jenny, it can't have all been plain sailing. So I mean, what I mean, you must have hit some really bad weather.
You know, we didn't. But and I say that, and I've been told by millions. I've been boring my friends to death with all my tales, and they said that I should make up that there was some really horrible weather along the way, and really there wasn't. It was in fact the opposite, where we didn't have enough wind, and without a functioning engine, we had to bob around a good bit, and that was kind of nice too, because you see a lot more of the wildlife that's swimming around you, and you're kind of just bobbing there. You're not moving, but that's why it took us so long, is because
of a lack of wind, really.
Exactly. Yeah. We weren't able to move. So you're able to, at least then, you can both sleep at the same time, because normally one person is sailing, right, the other person is sleeping. So myself and my friend were able to have sleep at the same time, and we were able to go swimming and have and wash, because that's kind of a using pure drinking water is a premium, so you can't really use that for washing yourself. So jumping into the sea, whilst it's terrifying psychologically because you're in the middle of nowhere, it's still, it's a really, really nice thing to do. It was really great, yeah.
So, you would have to say, of course, I mean, one person's going to have to sleep, the other one will be sailing. And did you rotate that in shifts, like,
in shifts
5 hours?
3 hours.
3 hours. Okay.
Yeah, every 3 hours you would swap over, and now we had what's called a wind vane, which is kind of like a third crew member. In some respects, you hook it on the back of your boat, and depending on how the wind is going, it's a series of levers and pulleys, and it can steer your boat for you,
right.
in the right conditions. So sometimes we were able to have that on, and then we were both able to have a break as well, because I think really 3 hours on, we hadn't really thought that through. 3 hours on and 3 hours off for that period of time is probably unfeasible, I bet.
Well, look, it's really an amazing story. You should, I don't know, write a book. You should write a book about
this. I need to work on some more nautical puns before I write a book. Maybe we should talk after the show.
We definitely should. But listen, Jenny, thank you so much for joining us. It's a great story.
Oh, well, thank you for asking me.
No, nice one. Is there did you guys have a blog, or was there any way anyone can look into this, or was it just it was done, you did
we
it?
Didn't. No, we didn't. Tons of people do, and there's lots of really exciting ones out there. But no, we didn't. And but
sure, maybe soon to be a major motion picture at some point, I'm sure. Listen,
right.
we're all but out of time. But Jenny, thanks very much for joining us this morning.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
No worries. Take care. That's it for us today on Good Morning Dublin. I'd like to thank everybody that contributed to the show. Michael Glynn and Dwayne Garvin in production.